Hi and welcome. So today we're gonna talk about, fuck you Facebook, sorry, uh, the emit from object in the infection solver infection. I just try to call it infection, but it's kind of hard. So let's drop down our geometry, and in here we drop down a grid. This is like stuff we've done before. We just scatter some points on this. So let's scatter 100,000 points. Oh, I need to eat something as well, but yeah, let's finish this off. First, let's then do an infection initialize, just get our stuff down and have things ready. So we could remove the fuel here. I think we're gonna do that because we want to be like able to inject whatever. So the fuel basically caps how much density can be born on each particle, and we don't want that right now. So we're the dot network, and here we also want a sphere to be able to affect it. So I just drop down a sphere, and I do a nice kind of H-shape movement. So I do sinus $f by 3 on the x-axis. No, sinus $f by 2 maybe. A little bit higher frequency. And then I do cosinus $f times 3 on the z-axis. So what that gives us is like this. If we speed it up, you see we get this kind of H-shaped movement. And that's fine. So I'm just gonna jump into the dot network, and here I drop down an infection object. And it's annoying because instance objects always comes first, and that's, yeah, not much to do. And then we drop down the solver core. So there we go. And what we can do then is we can change the visualization. We do something cooler. We do black body. And let's drop down and emit. And let's choose our sphere. So here we go. And if we just bring up the density a little bit to maybe like 5. And this is how much density emits per second. So if we do like this, we see, okay, so we have this point based. So we get all the points emitting, so you kind of see the structure of the sphere. And what we could do then is we could go to general, and we could just up the distance threshold to like 0.15 maybe, and it would be more even, but you still get the feeling of the points. And maybe you're fine with that, maybe you want that, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But if we don't want that, what we could do is we could just kind of bring it up instead. So we bring this one up to 1, and then if we go in here and we do instead a ray, so then we would just ray it down towards it. And that's another option, and you see that we build stuff here. So that's cool. We also have some other options inside and outside. So let's bring it back down. And let's first do like an outside. The outside is a bit weird, but yeah, you can see it kind of kills off what's inside it. And it's a very specific case. We have some other options coming in here that's not published yet, so you will have the option to keep the things that are inside. Right now you see it kills off, so everything that's inside the sphere is dead. And yeah, that will be another option that will be, yeah, you will have a little tag here to have it that way or not. So let's go to inside instead, because I think that's more relevant. And what the inside does is just takes everything on the inside and gives it density. So that's also a good option for more even kind of things. And then of course you need to, if you have too fast movements, you need to bring up the substeps, etc. But let's go back to point-based, because another cool thing about point-based is that we could actually also give it velocity. Because I don't know if you remember, but this solver works with two things. It works with the growth, which grow density, and it works with regular forces and velocity that actually moves the density. So if we go to velocity here, take compute velocity, and maybe exaggerate this a little bit, bring it up to 10, and we play along, and we will see that stuff is actually moving towards the direction of the sphere. And this is quite cool. This is built by, this part here is actually built my intern Victor, that has done a good job on this particular DOP. And we could of course also increase the movable amount. in order to advect more, and now you see it's just crazy because we exaggerated, but it's quite fun effect. You get something completely different. So everything is pretty much just pushed along with the sphere, and yeah, it's quite actually quite cool. And when it moves in here, we see that the old one also is moved away and it's pushed off. Yeah, you probably need a drag here as well because the velocity kind of gets exaggerated. So bring in a drag as well, because the thing here is like, if we don't have a drag, it will just sit on the particle, and when you come back, you increase it even more. So bringing a drag up to like 1, I think, or something like that, would make it a little bit more stable, and then maybe bring back the advect velocity to something like no, sorry, we're on the wrong place here. Let's bring it back to like 2 or something. And yeah, this is a more stable result, so it actually slows down after a while as well, which I think is better. Yeah, so that's a cool option. Well, let's move on to other options here. What we also have is we also have a noise for the density. So as you can see here, we get a noise, and right now we don't have an animation on it, and we also can maybe remove the velocity while we do this, so we actually see what's going on a little bit better. So here you see what's going on with the noise. So if we were to bring this up a little bit to maybe frequency of 6, we see it a bit more clearly, and then the thing is now that it kind of fills it in, because this goes pretty much down to 0 and up to 1, so it kind of not reaches 0 on that many places. So if we remap this and do something like this instead, you will see much harder lines and not being filled in. So that's depending on what you want, but that's quite cool. And what you could do as well is we could do animated here, and then the pulse duration is how long the pulse is in a second, so smaller value gives more animation. And what happens now is that you actually fill it in a little bit, and if we were to bring this down to like 0.1, you would probably see it more clearly. You see now it actually fills it in because it changes the noise so much, so it have time to fill in the blank spots as well. So that's a really good option. I really like that as well. So we're just going to remove the noise. We also have a little bit of blur if we want that. So we can blur this. We can take it up to 5 iterations if we want to give it more blur. And yeah, you know, it starts to get slow if we bring it up, but yeah, it's just a regular blur. And the same thing goes with velocity. So we turn back velocity on, and we do blur velocity. Like we can start without it, so you see the difference. So here's the velocity without blur. It won't do that much difference, but you will see a little bit of it, hopefully. So bring this up to like 10 iterations, you will see that the velocity is a little bit smoother, a little bit weaker because it's blurred. But yeah, it's kind of detail thing. Then we also have like a time offset if we want to offset the animation, and yeah, it's not something we want to do, but yeah, you have that option as well. And then you have the show guide geometry, and you have a color of it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is very useful for so many things like whitewater solver, no, not whitewater, sorry, whitewater, I mean wet map solvers and stuff like that. And a very good option here is of course as well that we can export the UV, and that's so simple as well. So I'm just going to show you that as well, how that works. So if we have this grid up here, right now we don't have any UV on that, so we're just going to do UV project. So if we have this UV project on this one, and you can see we have a UV map, and then what we can do is we can just drop down and UV export, and what it wants is the simulation, and then it wants the UV map thing. And if we go down here, sorry, you will see the UV map here. So we see this in kind of like real world space, but this is actually a UV map. And we have also an option for adding resolution to it, because what it does is it converts the volume, and Facebook shut up. And what we could do here as well is bring up the resolution. So if we bring up the 4, you see that we get a lot sharper kind of look on it. And this is relative to the point resolution. So if we have 1,000,000 points, it says default that it should be 1000 by 1000 UV map. And if we bring up the adaptive resolution, you will see that now, yeah, so here's the thing. We have 100,000 points, which gives us 100,000 voxels. So it's 316 by 316. So if we bring up the relative resolution to 2, we double the voxel amount. So we get a 0.4k map. And if we bring this up to 4, we will get 1.6k map, etc., etc. Bring it up to, 6, we will get quite high, like a 3.5k map, etc. And here we start seeing that it's kind of not necessary to bring this high, because we don't really have that many points. So yeah, not really necessary to bring it up that much. But just giving it like a value of 2 or 3 actually helps the resolution quite a lot to get a sharper map. And yeah, so that's quite simple. And when you're done, you just choose your file name and you render it, and then you add it in shading. So yeah, that's it for this little thing. Thank you.